Hello all, I am the Holand Phantom, and in honor of the newest set Evolving Skies being recently released, I'm going to be counting down my top 10 picks of Eevee evolutions in the trading card game. Before we begin with the top 10, I wanted to start off with an honorable mention. Umbreon VMAX from Evolving Skies has been the most anticipated evolution from the most recent set at the time of this recording, as it has the great ability Dark Signal, which switches out the opposing active Pokemon with the benched Pokemon, essentially being a boss's orders effect upon evolution. And historically, Pokemon with similar abilities have had notable success in their formats, so it stands to reason that Umbreon will see success as well. But with it being so new, it has yet to make a place for itself in the competitive format, so while I'd like to place it in my top 10 list, there's not much data on its performance to really cement a placement, so for now it has to settle for number 11. At number 10 we have Espeon EX from Breakpoint. This card was released during the Generation 6 sets when all EX Pokemon were basic Pokemon, meaning that Espeon didn't have to evolve and could be played straight to the bench. It came with 2 attacks, the first being Miraculous Shine, which needed 1 colorless energy to de-evolve all of the opponent's Pokemon by 1 stage by putting that evolution card back into their hand. And the second attack was Psyshock, which needed 1 psychic energy and 2 colorless to hit for 70 damage, with the added effect that the damage would not be affected by effects on the opposing Pokemon. When this card was first released, it didn't see much play as neither of its attacks had too much of an impact, but after the release of the 7th generation of cards, Espeon's first attack became more useful because it could be used against the newly introduced GX Pokemon, as they had to evolve, unlike their EX counterparts. And with so many evolved GX Pokemon being used in the format, Espeon found its place alongside Pokemon that could spread damage, such as Decidueye GX and Tapu Koko. As Decidueye could place 2 damage counters on a Pokemon with its Feather Arrow ability, and Tapu Koko could place damage on all the opponent's Pokemon with its Flying Flip attack. And once enough damage was spread across the opponent's Pokemon, Espeon could de-evolve powerful GX Pokemon like Gardevoir, Alolan Ninetales, and Golisopod, and take multiple knockouts on their pre-evolved forms. At number 9 we have Umbreon from Neo Discovery. One of 2 Umbreon cards released together, this card came with 2 attacks. The first being Bite, which needed 2 colorless energies to hit for 20 damage, and the second was Feint Attack, which needed 2 darkness energies and 1 colorless to hit any Pokemon on the opponent's side for 30 damage. Though with its 2 darkness energies, it would be hitting for 50 damage, as each darkness energy would increase its attack by 10. Umbreon's second attack was good in its format, as it could be used to knock out baby Pokemon like Cleffa, as all baby Pokemon had a common ability that required their opponent to flip a coin before they attacked, and if they got tails on that flip, their turn would end without an attack. But Umbreon's Feint Attack would bypass this effect if the baby Pokemon was on the bench, letting it take easy knockouts. If the opponent was out of low HP Pokemon on the bench, Umbreon could be used with Pokeflute, as it was able to bring back Pokemon from the opponent's discard pile back onto their bench, or with Erika's Perfume, which let the player look at the opponent's hand and place the Pokemon found there onto the bench and continue to take easy knockouts. At number 8 we have Vaporeon EX from Delta Species. Vaporeon EX was released alongside the other 2 Gen 1 Eevee evolutions in the Delta Species set, and they all came with the Poke Power that activated when they hit the field, and 2 attacks. Vaporeon's attacks were Fast Wave, which needed 1 water energy and 1 colorless to hit for 40 damage, and its damage wasn't affected by any effects on the opposing Pokemon. And its second attack was Hydro Splash, which needed 1 water energy and 2 colorless to deal 60 damage. Though the highlight on this card was its Poke Power, Evolutionary Swirl, as it shuffled away the opponent's hand and made them draw only 4 cards, which was a powerful disruptive effect, as it was common in the format to have huge numbers of cards in hand, and Vaporeon's power was valuable in taking away important resources from the opponent, leaving them with few cards to recover. Perhaps this card's most famous appearance was in an all-Evolutions deck in the 2006 World Championships that will be discussed later in this video, but for the most part, Vaporeon was not used as an attacker, and stayed in the background in a supporting role. At number 7 we have Flareon from Plasma Freeze. This Pokemon came with 2 attacks, the first being Vengeance, which needed 2 colorless energies to hit for a base 20 damage, and then increased by 10 for every Pokemon in the player's discard pile. Still with enough Pokemon, it would be able to one-hit KO a lot of Pokemon in the format. Its second attack was Heat Tackle, which needed 1 fire energy and 2 colorless to hit for 90 damage, and then do 10 damage to itself, though of the 2 attacks, Vengeance was the preferred option. Flareon worked well with a handful of Pokemon in the Black and White era, such as Audino, which would discard itself from the hand with its Busybody ability, and would then heal 10 damage in 1 status condition from the active Pokemon. And Flareon also worked well with Cofagrigus, as Cofagrigus would knock itself out with its 6 feet under ability, and then place 3 damage counters on the opponent's Pokemon. This combo could also be improved by using Ditto, as its transform ability would let it place a basic Pokemon on top of itself, in this case Yamask, which would then evolve into Cofagrigus to use its ability, thereby discarding 3 Pokemon all at once to fuel Flareon's attack. Finally, as a Team Plasma Pokemon, Flareon's attacks could be boosted by Deoxys EX's Power Connect ability, which increased the attack of all Team Plasma Pokemon by 10. But it was actually better to discard Deoxys with Ultra Ball or Professor Juniper, as it would still provide the same attack boost without taking up bench space. Flareon definitely had potential as a late-game powerhouse, and even reached the top 16 in the 2013 World Championships, making it a great evolution. At number 6, we have Sylveon GX from Guardians Rising. Sylveon came with 3 attacks, the first being Magical Ribbon, which needed 1 Fairy Energy to then search the deck for any 3 cards the player wanted. The second attack was Fairy Wind, which needed 1 Fairy Energy and a colorless for a flat 110 damage. And its third attack was Plea GX, which would take 2 of the opponent's benched Pokemon and place them in their hand. Sylveon's preferred attack was its Magical Ribbon, and was even featured in its own control-style deck which aimed to run the opponent out of energy cards in order to win the game. And how the deck worked was every turn Sylveon would search out cards to rid the opponent of their energies so that their Pokemon could not attack. These cards were Team Skull Grunt to discard energies from their hand, and Plumeria, Crushing Hammer, and Enhanced Hammer to discard energy from their Pokemon. Once the opponent was completely out of energy, they would not be able to attack for the rest of the game, and Sylveon could either go the offensive with its Fairy Wind attack to knock out their Pokemon, or simply let them run out of cards to draw from their deck. This is a very skill-based deck, but in the right hands could lock the opponents out of the game to take the victory. At number 5, we have Jolteon EX from Generations. This card was released during the 6th generation run of EX Pokemon, so it was a basic Pokemon and it came with 2 attacks. The first was Swift, which needed 1 Lightning Energy to deal 30 damage, and it wasn't affected by any effects on the opposing Pokemon. And the second attack was Flash Ray, which needed 1 Lightning Energy and 2 colorless to deal 70 damage and then shielded Jolteon from all attacks by basic Pokemon. Which was a great move, as a major deck in the format at the time was Night March, which used exclusively basic Pokemon as their main attackers, so unless they could have a counter against this card, they would easily lose. Jolteon's utility improved as the meta shifted toward basic GX Pokemon like Buzzwole and Rayquaza, as their attacks could not damage it. If Jolteon went up against evolved Pokemon, it could combo well with the support of Ninja Boy and Glaceon EX, as Ninja Boy could swap out Jolteon for another Pokemon from the deck while keeping its energy on the new Pokemon. So with the Rainbow Energy and 2 other energies of any type attached, Jolteon could switch into Glaceon and use its Crystal Ray attack to shield it from evolved Pokemon's attacks to keep the lock going. This combination, along with Vileplume to shut down all item cards, made it to the top 4 of the 2016 World Championships. At number 4 we have Flareon EX, another evolution from the Delta Species set. Like Vaporeon before it, Flareon came with 1 Pokepower and 2 attacks. Its first attack was Flame Screen, which needed 1 Fire Energy and 1 colorless to hit for 30 damage, and would then reduce damage done to it by 20 during the opponent's next turn, which was useful for giving Flareon an extra bit of longevity. Its second attack was Heat Tackle, which needed 1 Fire Energy and 2 colorless to hit for 70 damage, and would then deal 10 damage to itself. Its Pokepower was Evolutionary Flame, which would both burn and confuse the opposing Pokemon, letting it deal passive damage between turns, and potentially stopping the opponent's attacks with confusion. This power let Flareon partner well with Ariados, as its reactive poison attack hit for 10 damage, plus 30 more for each special condition on the opposing Pokemon. So with the burn and confusion inflicted by Flareon, Ariados would be hitting for 70 damage for a single energy, and could increase to 90 if the burn dealt extra damage between turns. Plus, it could be increased even further with the Stadium Full Flame, as it increased the damage output of burns from 20 to 40, potentially letting Ariados and Flareon deal 110 damage in a single turn for only 1 energy. This, combined with Flareon's useful attacks, let it see a good amount of success in the competitive format. At number 3 we have Leafeon Level X for Majestic Dawn. This Pokemon was released alongside its counterpart Glaceon, and the two came with very different powers and attacks. Leafeon had 1 Pokepower and 1 attack, but as a Level X Pokemon, it had access to the attacks of its previous form, meaning that it essentially had 3 attacks. The preferred base form of Leafeon came with the attacks Bind Down, which needed 1 Grass Energy to hit for 30 damage and left the opponent unable to retreat, and its second attack was Leaf Guard, which needed 1 Grass Energy and 2 colorless to hit for 60 damage and reduce the damage it took during the next turn by 20. Leafeon Level X then came with the Verdant Dance attack, which needed 1 Grass Energy and 1 colorless to hit for 30 damage, plus 10 more for each energy on its side of the field. Though its strength came from its Pokepower, Energy Forcing, which accelerated an energy to any Pokemon from the player's hand, letting it quickly power up its Verdant Dance attack to hit for high numbers. though it was more frequently played with another attacker, Magmortar, as it could take advantage of the extra energy with its Flame Blast attack, which dealt 20 damage for each fire energy attached, and would also heal 20 HP every time a fire energy was attached to it with its Flame Body. And Magmortar level X could use its Flame Buster attack to hit any Pokemon for 100 damage, easily letting it knock out weak Pokemon on the bench. At number 2, we have Glaceon level X, the second evolution from Majestic Dawn. This Pokemon came with the Poké Body and 1 attack, but like Leafeon level X, it also had access to the attacks of its previous form, bringing its attack total up to 3. In its base form, it had the attacks Ice Shot, which needed 1 water energy and 1 colorless, to hit for 30 damage and then hit a benched Pokemon for 10, and also Icy Wind, which needed 1 water energy and 2 colorless to deal 60 damage and potentially put the opponent to sleep depending on a coin flip. In its level X form, it had the attack Avalanche, which needed 2 water energies and a colorless to hit for 70 damage, and would then flip a coin, and if it landed heads it would hit all the opponent's benched Pokemon for 20 damage each, which was a great way to spread damage. And finally, Glaceon's Pokébody was Chilly Breath, which activated when it was in the active spot, and would shut off all the opponent's Poké Powers, which is an amazing ability as many top decks relied on their Poké Powers to succeed. Glaceon saw success in the 2008 format when Gardevoir was considered the top deck, as its Poké Power let it use 2 supporters per turn, letting it outspeed its competition. Which is why so many decks use Cessation Crystal, a tool that shut off all Poké Powers and Pokébodies on both sides of the field. But Glaceon's Chilly Breath only stopped the opponent, allowing it to continue to use its own Poké Powers. It worked especially well on decks that relied on Claydol to draw cards, and even worked against its counterpart Leafeon. The height of its success let Glaceon reach the top 8 at the 2008 World Championships, showing just how strong this Eevee evolution really was. And finally at number 1 we have Jolteon EX from Delta Species. This is the third of the original evolutions, and like the others, it came with a Poké Power and 2 attacks. Its first attack was Second Bite, which needed 1 lightning energy and a colorless to hit for 20 damage, plus 10 more for every damage counter already on the opposing Pokemon, so it could get stronger as the game went on. Its second attack was Lightning Blast, which needed 1 lightning energy and 2 colorless to hit for 70 damage at the cost of discarding a lightning energy. And its Poké Power was Evolutionary Thunder, which would activate upon evolving and place a damage counter on every one of the opponent's Pokemon, which is a great ability to quickly spread damage. And during the 2006 and 2007 formats, this card saw a lot of use as it went so well with so many decks. Its best partners were Flygon EX, Rayquaza EX, and Absol EX. Flygon had the Psychic Pulse attack, which would hit for 80 damage and then hit all the opposing benched Pokemon that were already damaged for 10 damage each. So with Jolteon's power, it could potentially deal a total of 130 damage per turn. Rayquaza's Special Circuit attack could snipe weakened targets on the bench, and Absol could move up to 30 damage from one Pokemon to another, so Jolteon's damage spread could help fuel knockouts. Jolteon EX was also famously used alongside its other 4 fellow evolutions in the 2006 World Championships, as they relied on Surprise Time Machine to swap back and forth between different evolutions to take advantage of the opponent's weaknesses and inflict as much damage as possible. With so many placements in top decks at the 2006 and 2007 World Championships, and being a key piece to inflicting the necessary damage to win games, Jolteon EX has proven itself to be the best evolution, which is why it has come in at number 1 on this list. Eevee and its evolutions have been popular with fans since the first generation in both the video games and the trading card game, and they've also shown their quality with so many top placements in major events. Which is your favorite Eevee evolution card? Let me know down in the comments below, and be sure to like and subscribe to catch new videos. Thanks a lot for watching, and until next time, this is the Hole and Phantom logging out.